Hey, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico, and it looks like the Washington football team double dipped. Ron Rivera had two favorite candidates. Guess what? He's getting both of them.
What?
Now, I know a lot of us were underwhelmed when we heard that we were getting Marty Hurney as our GM, but Martin Mayhew's coming too, bruh. And in this video, I just want to break down some of my opinions on everything. Of course, I got to break down who these guys are, especially Martin Mayhew and a lot of his track record, a lot of the notable picks and trades he's made, and what he should be bringing to the team. I'm excited, man. Let's get it. Alright, we're going to start with Marty Hurney since, technically he's the most prominent role. He's going to be our first GM since the Scott McClellan situation that Bruce Allen messed up. And I know, if y'all really want to, y'all can look up these guys' backgrounds as far as, where they went to college, where they played football, and how they came up from the bottom to work their way up and stuff like that. But I want to talk about what they can bring to this team. Now, Marty Hurney used to be the GM of the Carolina Panthers with Ron Rivera in Carolina, so not a surprising hire. Ron Rivera has brought a lot of his guys from Carolina that know his vision, know how he wants everything ran, know his discipline. He has chemistry with these guys. Everybody knows their roles. He doesn't have to do too much explaining, and everybody knows what their responsibilities are and everything. So I understand. If I were hired to be the man of a show somewhere else, just even outside of football, I would bring as many familiar faces as possible that I know can help me be a better me and make whatever I'm working on better. So I'm not surprised. Now, Marty Hurney isn't just this flash signing, but first of all, Ron Rivera is basically just bringing him in to do all of the things he doesn't want to do. Ron Rivera basically tried being the head coach and the GM last year, along with Kyle Smith having a lot of input. But apparently Ron Rivera wants to delegate some of those responsibilities elsewhere. So it was time to finally hire a GM. But plain and simple, it's not like Marty Hurney's coming in here to run the place. He's just doing a few things on the managing side and the business side that Ron Rivera doesn't feel like dealing with. And I think that's why Kyle Smith is not getting the GM job. And you can see, as much as we love Kyle Smith and we feel like he's the Sean McVay, the Kyle Shanahan, the Matt LaFleur of player scouting and talent evaluation, you see that there's no other team clamoring for him like they were with Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell, Kyle Shanahan, and Matt LaFleur. Because, we've just seen the Rams block, I believe it was the Chargers, from even interviewing Kevin O'Connell. So if other teams notice how great somebody's doing, then there's going to be a line for him. Kyle Smith hasn't even gotten an interview anywhere else. And whatever the reason is more than likely why Ron Rivera didn't consider him for a GM position. I love Kyle Smith. We all do. And I want him to stay in the building in some type of player talent evaluation scouting role because, what he does in the draft, especially in the later rounds, is just genius. Not to say nobody else can do it, but of course you don't want to let go somebody as much of a genius as Kyle Smith, especially with how young he is in football years. But obviously, just being able to know what player is going to be good or not wasn't good enough for the GM position. I'm assuming Marty Hurney's coming here to deal with contracts and everything beyond coaching and player evaluation. Now, of course, he's going to have some input. He's the GM. He's going to have the input on player evaluation and scouting and who we draft, who we pick up in free agency. But at the end of the day, point two, this is a coach-centric team. Ron Rivera holds most of the power. This is very similar to Bill Belichick in New England, Pete Carroll in Seattle, and Andy Reid in Kansas City. And all of these guys have or had New England literally had Nick Caserio until this offseason, a few weeks ago. And Pete Carroll and Andy Reid both have GMs, but they're the ones that run the show. It's their team. Every decision comes through them at the end of the day. They're not just typical coaches. And that's good company to be in, but at the end of the day, Bill Belichick had Tom Brady, Pete Carroll has Russell Wilson, and Andy Reid, until he got Pat Mahomes, potentially the best quarterback of all time, wasn't even able to get over the hump of winning playoff games. So, that's a good model to follow. But with the Washington football team being a coach-centric team, it's obvious we need a really good quarterback to take us to that next level. Because even Bill Belichick, Pete Carroll, and Andy Reid couldn't do it until they had future Hall of Fame quarterbacks. and I believe we may need the same thing. We'll see, because I mean, if you look at our teams, if you take out quarterback, I believe we are better than the Seahawks and the Chiefs, so maybe we don't need just a future Hall of Famer at quarterback, but it would be nice to have one. Random tangent, but just wanted to show y'all some examples of coach-centric teams where teams are ran by the head coach, and unlike what Marty Hurney had with Ron Rivera in Carolina, this is a different time. He was like the GM in Carolina. Now he's just this partial GM with Ron Rivera really running the show. So it's different now. Marty Hurney does not have as much power in Washington as he did in Carolina. Point blank, period. And then that was before we went and got my boy, Martin Mayhew, man. I'm so excited. I was so underwhelmed when we got Marty Hurney. I mean, it made sense, but I was underwhelmed. And his track record just doesn't scream genius. Like, he doesn't just find the sleepers and just make the best decisions as far as drafting free agency and making trades happen. Martin Mayhew has done that. And it's interesting too, because both Mayhew and Hurney have ties to Washington. Mayhew played here and was part of that 1991, one of the greatest teams of all time, arguably. You know, check it out. Look on Google. ESPN, all of these guys have us at the very least as one of the top 5 teams of all time, not 1991 burgundy and gold. A lot of them have us as literally the best one, like better than 85 Bears, better than the Steelers, better than all of those Packers teams, the Dolphins, the Patriots that went undefeated until the Super Bowl. I'm not sure if y'all looked, but like the 91 burgundy and gold is nothing to be played with, and Martin Mayhew was part of that. And then Hurney also started from the bottom working for the burgundy and gold. And before I dive into what Martin Mayhew has done and why I'm so excited to have him, with 2 new GM-like faces, first of all, the likeliness of Kyle Smith staying isn't very high, but I do believe there's still a role for him to have. Maybe if you promote him, I'm not sure how that can happen though, but I would really like to keep Kyle Smith if we can. Luckily, there's no other teams out here trying to interview him and take him from us, so it's not like he just has this big market to choose from. But with all of these new faces coming in here, powerful new faces, opinionated new faces, I'm pretty sure quarterback is high on our priority list. A new GM usually wants to take a quarterback anyway, and for you to bring in basically 2 new GMs, and it's obvious that we need a new quarterback. I mean, Scott Turner wants one. Ron Rivera, I wouldn't be surprised if he wants somebody that can repeat what Cam Newton did for him when they went 15-1 and made it to the Super Bowl. That team was not that good. That team made it to the Super Bowl on Cam Newton's back. So Ron Rivera's best seasons were on the back of a quarterback. And again, 2 new GMs, of course they want the franchise to look how they want it to look. So don't be surprised if quarterback is our main priority this offseason, whether through free agency or trade up in the draft or whatever. I feel a big change in quarterback coming this offseason before the 2021 regular season starts. Be prepared for that. But my boy Martin Mayhew, boy, yes sir, man, I tell you. First of all, he did a pretty good job of being the general manager for the Lions. Not his best work, but you know, made some nice moves that if we hired him before his 49ers stint, I would be pretty excited about him coming here. But his role in building the 49ers roster is what I'm most excited about. I mean, their team is basically great top to bottom. They just haven't been able to get quarterback right. I mean, they were kind of bamboozled by the Patriots with the Jimmy Garoppolo thing, because Jimmy Garoppolo looked like a franchise quarterback potentially for the Patriots. Then he gets there, and he's the only reason that they don't win that Super Bowl. Their team was way more talented than the Chiefs up and down that roster. We're talking about the entire defense. We're talking about the offensive line. We're talking about running backs. Literally the only thing Chiefs had were receivers and quarterback. And that was enough to win that Super Bowl, because at the end of the day, quarterback's the most position not only in football, but arguably in all of sports. And if you have the better quarterback, you usually have a better chance of winning, especially with somebody like a Pat Mahomes. So he did everything he could to build that 49ers team to be great. Jimmy Garoppolo was just holding them back. But let's talk about some of his notable draft picks since being with the 49ers, because he was only there since 2017. He was the senior personnel executive from 2017 to 2018. And then he was the 49ers vice president of player personnel since 2019. And in that time, they took Javon Kinlaw in the first round, great pick. Nick Bosa, obvious pick. Deebo Samuel, if he could stay healthy, would be an electric receiver. Fred Warner at linebacker in the 3rd round, Pro Bowl linebacker. They're the ones that took the flyer on Reuben Foster. It didn't necessarily work out, but I mean, if Reuben Foster could have stayed right and stayed healthy, man, he'd be top 3 linebacker in the NFL easily. And I hope he still is and comes back to us. He's also one of the main people responsible for getting George Kittle, a top 3, maybe even top 2 tight end in the NFL. They got him in the 5th round. You got to remember that George Kittle was a 5th round pick. Great player evaluation. For the Lions, he was able to get Pro Bowl cornerback Quandre Diggs in the 6th round. He took Eric Ebron in the 1st round. Ezekiel Ansah in the 1st round. Darius Slay, arguably one of the top corners in the NFL, in the 2nd round. Larry Warford in the 3rd round, one of the best guards in the NFL. I hope when he opts back into the NFL season, he signs with us, goes back to his old buddy, old pal, you know what I'm saying? Make that call, have that connection. If he increases our chances of getting Larry Warford, that enough makes me love Martin Mayhew. Theo Riddick in the 6th round is pretty good for how much he produced. He outproduced his draft pick. Wasn't the greatest running back of all time, of course, but he did his thing. He's the one that took Ndamukong Suh in the 1st. He's the one that took Matthew Stafford 9th overall. He may want to trade up to a similar draft position to take his next franchise quarterback. And then Pro Bowl linebacker Cliff Averill in the 3rd round. I mean, this guy knows how to make these first through 3 rounds work out very well, even some later ones. And then you add Kyle Smith's ability to draft extremely well 3rd through 7. It sounds like we're just gonna hit home runs all throughout the draft, every draft. Let Martin Mayhew run rounds 1 through 3. Let Kyle Smith run rounds 3 through 7. I mean, I know that's super imaginary and make-believe and all of that, but hey, I mean, that just sounds about right. Those are when both of those guys do their best work. Martin Mayhew rounds 1 through 3, Kyle Smith rounds 3 through 7. Come on now. Martin Mayhew was also part of some very noteworthy trades that we may want to look into as the Washington football team this offseason. Martin Mayhew in the front office in some capacity. We still don't exactly know the title yet, but that's going to be crazy. I mean, because some of these trades, like when he was with the Lions, he used wide receiver Roy Williams in a 2009 7th rounder to get a 1st, 3rd, and 6th rounder. In the 2010 draft, he was able to take a 2nd, 4th, and a 7th to get a 1st and a 4th. In 2015, he used the 5th rounder to get Haloi Nada and a 7th rounder. In 2017, he used the 2nd and a 4th to get a 1st. I don't know what he does over these phones. I don't know if he's holding people's families for ransom, but hey, man, I'll take it. Nah, I'm playing, but hey, man, for real. Whatever he's saying to these GMs, whatever he's saying to these teams over the phone, we need some of that. Oh yeah, he was part of that finesse deal where the Bears got the 2nd overall pick and the 49ers got the 3rd overall, a 6th round, a 4th round, and another 3rd. All right, come on now. Yeah, we need some of that. We need some of that. They went down one spot and got a 3rd, 4th, and a 3rd. Come on now. He was also a main part of the 49ers giving away a 2nd round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo at a time when everybody just assumed he was going to be worth at least a 1st rounder. Now, I mean, the joke's on the 49ers now, because Jimmy Garoppolo is not what people thought he would be, but I think Bill Belichick liked Jimmy Garoppolo a lot, and it was just Tom Brady forcing that trade. So the 49ers did a magnificent job of somehow getting the 2nd rounder out of Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know if it's just relationships, connections, not what you know, who you know. And again, I'll take some of that over here. We need whatever we can to help build this team to be a Super Bowl contender. He's also one of the people that was able to get D Ford for a 2nd rounder, a really good edge rusher for a 2nd rounder. That's not easy to do. He was able to get a 1st rounder from the Colts for DeForest Buckner, even with the Colts knowing they were going to have to give DeForest Buckner all kinds of money. And then they went and drafted Javon Kinlaw to basically be his replacement. Now, he may not be all the way DeForest Buckner, but he's good enough for this trade to be worth it, especially for them to save so much money from the DeForest Buckner contract to go into a Javon Kinlaw rookie deal. And I also like that trade he pulled off where he was able to just give away Quan Alexander, a really good linebacker, to get Kiko Alonso, another good linebacker, and a 5th round pick. I mean, this guy makes smart trades, y'all. This is what he does. Rounds 1 through 3, he's eating the occasional late rounder, and then he's the guy that you bring him in for the trades. You have Martin Mayhew for rounds 1 through 3, trades. You have Kyle Smith and Ron Rivera for rounds 3 through 7 and free agency. And you have Marty Hurney to do all the business stuff and add his little input here and there, you know what I mean? I mean, of course, again, that's just some dream scenario, make-believe type of hypothetical thing. But hey, man, that's what they all do best, according to their track records. Sounds like every puzzle piece fits each other, man. Sounds like we about to build a Super Bowl winning team right here. But most importantly, though, with all seriousness, this sounds like the type of front office and coaching staff that is built to be successful long term. Like I said, I don't want to just be a flash in the pan. I want to be one of these teams that's for the next 10 years always a playoff contender and always in the Super Bowl contention conversation. Because I want to say like the Seahawks, but their roster isn't that good. Again, you take away quarterback, our team is way better than the Seahawks. And so if we can just hit on quarterback, we're going to be a top 5 team in the NFL. If you take away quarterback, I believe our team is better than the Chiefs. Our team is better than the Seahawks. Our team is possibly better than the Packers. Our team is possibly even better than the Bills. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like once we hit on quarterback with all of these smart minds in one room and everybody on the same page, everybody delegating responsibilities, everybody doing what they do best and letting the other guy handle the rest, I see our team being set up for being a true juggernaut for the next 10 years at least. And I'm excited. I believe we have a really good chance of being a strong Super Bowl contender going into this next season if we hit on quarterback. But if we don't hit on quarterback just yet, I believe we'll at least be able to hold the NFC East down. I think on top of being Super Bowl contenders and winning a Super Bowl, which is the most important thing, of course, by far, but also on top of all of that, I like the fact that it looks like we'll finally be that NFC East crown holder for consecutive years for the first time in forever. I mean, nobody in the NFC East has won a division twice in a row since, within like the last 15 years. And I feel like we'll be the first team to not only win it 2 in a row in a long time, but I feel like we can honestly run this table again with all of these smart hires we're making. If we go into free agency being this smart, if we keep doing what we're doing in the draft, I want us to be aggressive in free agency if we have to. And if we just hit on quarterback, you know me, I prefer to trade up in the draft. But however they feel like, any of these guys feel like the best ways to do it, if we can get the quarterback position right, it's time to run this NFC East for at least the next 5 years, period. We have a lot of great pieces. A lot of our best talent is young, so they're not only going to be here for a long time and produce at a high level, but they're also on relatively cheap rookie deals right now. So this is the best time to get it done. I feel like if you want to get a Super Bowl now, you need to hit on quarterback as soon as possible before we have to start paying Chase Young and Terry McLaurin all this big money. We already had to give Chase Roulier big money. We're going to have to give Brandon Sheriff big money. We're about to pay Jonathan Allen. So the clock is ticking. It's time to get right. But again, even if we're not ready to be with the big dogs like I think we will be, like I assume we will be next year or the year after that at the latest, at least we're setting ourselves up for longevity, and I'm really happy about that because that's what I care about the second most. Of course, winning the Super Bowl is the primary priority, but long-term success and not throwing all of your eggs in one basket for just one hopeful year of making the Super Bowl makes me really happy. That's why I don't really want to go get a free agent or trade for a quarterback that's going to cost all of this money, because that's going to eat up cap space and make it harder to go get receiver help, to go get safety help, linebacker help. If you go and pay a quarterback all of this big time quarterback money, you're gonna have to just hit on every position of need in the draft. And I know we've been doing a really good job with that lately, but you can't depend on it. That's why I feel like trading up for a quarterback is the best solution, because a quarterback on a rookie deal is your biggest Super Bowl window. Ask any expert around the NFL, all of them will agree with me. All of them agree with pretty much everything I've been saying all season. If you don't want to hear from me, go listen to all of those guys, what I've been telling y'all since like week 1 about quarterback, about how we need to build this roster, all of that. But yeah, man, I'm so excited. I like Marty Hurney because if that just provides some level of comfort and chemistry for Ron Rivera, and he can bring a little value with him. And then we're getting Martin Mayhew to be the home run hitter, off-season hire. I'm excited, man. I'm really excited. But definitely get in these comments and let me know how y'all feel about everything, man. Because it sounds like we about to be on top, you know what I mean? As always, man, please like this video if you liked it. If you learned anything, please subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification every time I release a video like this one. Every time I release a film session. Every time I release one of my 5 mock drafts this off-season. Every time I come out with any random news, opinions. I'm coming out with all kinds of creative videos. I have like 30 ideas ready. I just have to record them, edit them, and get them out to y'all. The content is there. I just need the time and the editing. And then the live streams will never stop. We're live streaming every Sunday like there's a game on. We're live streaming every Friday with the broadcast where we talk about everything, not just sports. So make sure you subscribe and hit that bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification every time I come out with any of those videos or live streams. And as always, man, I really appreciate all my supporters, man. Everybody that donates to the channel, everybody that gives to the channel, man. Really appreciate y'all, especially all of my sponsors and the Pro Bowl sponsors whose names you see scrolling on the screen right now. And hey, man, new outro. Make sure y'all stay tuned for the outro coming after this, man. I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.